And we are back with another episode, of course, of CSGO Talk. I hope you guys all enjoy every single Saturday as you guys comment and reply with stories out there in the CSGO scene. One story at a time, we will take them down every Saturday. Kind of a debatable / talk show, and I usually have a piece of paper in front of me. This time not. I'll try and slow my speech, but these are my favorite day of the week now because last week went really well. If you guys did not stop by, we talked about Tarek and Stewie 2K back when they left the old Cloud9 roster. Did we blame them for leaving that team? Arguably not, based off where they went and where they are now. They're probably better off than the current Cloud9 roster given the current rankings and what that roster is doing. Rumors of Cajun B and of course Vice on trial. So we kind of ran that down last Saturday. This time around though, one of my favorite players in CS and one of my favorite players especially to talk about and kind of break down his mentality, that being Smooya. The ultimate question we'll talk about today though, guys, is has Smooya shot himself in the foot when it comes to joining other teams out there and being recruited by other organizations? Because when you look into this guy, he is certainly spectacular in his own regard, but he is certainly as well a roller coaster of emotions. I have always classified him, and he himself has stated publicly he is an emotional player. He rides those highs and he rides those lows, and we have seen that directly correlate with his outside, of course, his outside mentality affect his in-game and of course how he does in those games. Particularly he admits when he is sad outside the game, he plays poorly. When he is depressed and not feeling well, that affects his gameplay, and his gameplay often revolves how he feels in his outside life. And so with that being said, my ultimate question for all of you guys is, has this affected him now being recruited, right? You look at the prospects out there, typically we've heard some rumors of Cloud9, most rumors around TSM. He was willing to go either EU or NA, and NA, a lot of us did want him there, especially because we all reference back to ESL Cologne, right? Even though he wasn't their best performer, he was still a standout player in several moments out there and definitely lit up the stage in terms of actually on the literal stage because he was a crowd favorite. And then after ESL Cologne was when the downfall began, really just entirely with his mentality. We've seen him, again, what I want to say, everything I say here is kind of a reference to what he said somewhat publicly as well. He has not been silent about this, which I will give him credit for. He is openly public. He has openly stated all of these feelings, and he's come out and pretty much been honest with all of us, first of which of why he left big in the first place, right? It was actually just a week before IEM Katowice, where ironically enough, it was actually Next back in, and he stepped away from the roster, that being Smooya, by himself. He chose to do so. Obviously takes a lot of courage to do so. He still got his major sticker. There was a bit of debate back and forth about that, but nonetheless, we thought Next was more prepared, and Next was actually one of their stronger links during the major run. Did not stop them, though, from surprising a lot of us, and they still went 0-3. They lost that major spot. Unfortunately enough, that will be big back in the European minor, and now we're left with Smooya. What has he done since then? It has not been much. Let's be honest about this, and let me again preface by saying I love the guy. I've seen him outside the game interview-wise and of course in the game as well. Seems like a great personality to be around when he is happy, but that's what ultimately contrives the question out here. Has he certainly hurt his preposition? Has he hurt his spot in being recruited? I do think so. Following him on Twitter, I'm not even going to bring up some old tweets. We know the struggles this guy has had and some tweets he had back in the day about his depression and what he's gone through mentally. I won't pull up those tweets, but we've seen as well, even after his, of course, departure from Big Clan, the FPL ban, the refresh situation. I covered that here on the channel. Although I did side with Smooya, you still have a pro player telling another pro player to kill himself in a Faceit server. As a recruit, you got to think about this from a management standpoint, right? As a recruiter standpoint, if you're a coach, if you're a manager, if you're so on and so forth from an organization and you're trying to pick up a new player, do you see that and say, hey, that's a pretty tempting player right there. He told another guy to kill himself. That's a tempting option. No, it certainly does not help his standing. And then my main point here is you look at his time with Big Clan. Yes, he had his star-studded moments, but he was a very inconsistent player and a player who is definitely emotionally driven, and he's been very public about this. If he cannot fit a role, fit a exact spot he wants to be in a team, he will not play well. He will not love being there, and that's why he openly admits as well he was depressed for a long time on the Big Clan roster because he had no specific role to fit and he didn't want to play the exact role he was given, and so that's what kind of also tore away from his in-game play. And on top of that, you look at what he said in interviews himself.
But it's like, it won't work for me and I won't enjoy playing CS and I will be depressed every day knowing that I'm holding the team back.
Sure.
Because if I'm not in my roles, playing my positions how I want to play my positions, then I'll never be happy, you know what I mean? Like, regardless of how much money I earn, how many events I go to, like, dude, I hate traveling anyway. I literally hate traveling so much. So, like, this is even better for me.
Yeah.
And we have to practice for one event.
Mm-hmm.
And and we say, okay, this is perfect. We're ready for this one event. And then we get invited to 2 more events 1 week after each, and we're like we'll take them, because they've never been in the position to get invited to LANs every single like week. So they just took them all, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then we flew to, I think it was CS Summit.
Yeah.
And I knew this is gonna be bad. Like something's gonna go wrong here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I played really bad at Summit. And then I flew to Chicago, and I played absolutely terrible. And then I flew to Malta, and I played absolutely terrible. And that's when I was at my all-time low, tweeting, I'm gonna kill myself.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was just sad, and it's a sad way to be. But how I play in CS really affects how I am outside of game.
Yeah.
On a daily basis. If I'm sad, if I wake up and I played bad the next day, I'm sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just the way I am.
And what got me the most is he really says he had no motivation for some time to play the game. Now, we've seen ever since, and of course he has remotivated himself and wants to compete again, which is no surprise whatsoever. But ultimately, you got to ask yourself, as a team, are you certain about that? Are you certain he is now back for good? Because you look at his precedents, his last team, it just did not go well besides a tournament or two. And along with that, he has also openly admitted he does not like traveling. Again, these are all things that if you are a team, you are looking for a player who wants to travel the most, who is highly motivated inside and outside the game, who enjoys or can actually attune to multiple roles, and he is not fitting either or any of those criteria. And so as a team, you got to look at this and say, what do you want from Smooya? What does he have that you want? And I still think there's plenty to offer, because when you can actually do that, if you are a team out there who can attune his roles, who can maybe go to his travel schedule, and who can actually find a place / a role, a situation or a place in the team for him to actually play around, then you maybe unlock the ultimate Smooya, which we would all love to see. We have seen his highs, we have seen his lows. It is now about the team that can actually fit his high points, who can actually fit around him and can accommodate everything he does need, because at this point in time, he does seem like a bit of a needier player than other players out there. We go back to it, right? I know I've been it looks like down talking this man the entire video. That's just not true. I'm being brutally honest with you guys, because this is CSGO Talk. We can share our opinions. And I'm very curious what you guys think about this, and I'm sure some of you guys have already left dislikes because you're a Smooya fan, but I am too, and I'm just seeing the situation as it is, and I'm still very curious. If you guys want to type out a long story, I will read every single comment. I'm super curious what you guys think from a fan perspective about Smooya, about his future. I do think a team will take a risk on him, but I think there's certainly reasons, and these are many of the reasons why teams have waited to do so. He has openly stated he will be willing to move to EU or NA, possibly for a team to fill if they can offer him probably the right amount of money and other perks as well. But there's got to be a reason he has not been signed yet, after once being at one point in time last summer, he was the most hyped up opper in the entire CS world or CS community. And so why has he not been signed? There are obviously many reasons as to why. Do I think he has a future? Certainly in this game. I really do, especially when he rides those highs. He is a very impactful player and certainly can be in the future. But this is, of course, why we talk about the CSGO Talk episode. We share our opinions and we share our thoughts out there. And this one being all around Smooya. The ultimate question to you guys down below: has Smooya shot himself in the foot the way he has acted publicly? Should he have hidden these things? Arguably not. You got to give him some regard to actually being open about this kind of stuff. You would hate to see a team actually recruit him. He joins and says, hey, by the way, I've been battling depression, I hate traveling, and I can't really fit too many roles. So I do give him a lot of credit to actually openly admit these things publicly, right? He's going to state these things and hope a team actually still wants him after all of these faults, and I greatly respect that. I do believe he has a future. Has he shot himself in the foot? Yeah, maybe once or twice, but it's Smooya. It's not going to keep him down. And I will also be back Monday breaking down CSGO news, but if you guys have any topics for me to talk about during CSGO Talk, for me to be brutally honest and open with all of you, leave a comment down below. Until next time, take care, have a great weekend, and until Monday, I'll see you then.